What's up, everybody? It's Jason Avant. This is the first episode of Q&A presented by Inside the Birds. We're on the Inside the Birds platform, and we're excited to be here. Um, this is our first show, and I have my former teammate and just a good friend of mine. Been knowing him for years. One of the better teammates that I've ever had. Great safety, all pro, and also one of the best special teams players that I've ever been around. And that's my man, Q. Q, say what's up to everybody.
Yo, what's up, Jay? Thanks, man. And thanks for having me. I'm excited. I'm excited for the show. Excited to get into breaking down some of the ins and outs of this game and kind of showing a different perspective from your perspective and as well as mine for the next year or however long we go. So I'm excited, man.
No, I'm excited too. I'm excited to get that insight, to get that wisdom, because you know what? It's different for us, right? Because we were blessed with enough athleticism, but that didn't keep us in the league. Our minds kept us in the league just because we weren't the most talented. So we can see the game from a different perspective, and I know you can. I've seen you make so many different plays, knowing the perfect angle to close in on an offensive player. So I'm excited to hear your insight. Just to let everyone know that we're going to be airing every Wednesday at 6 a.m. On the YouTube channel Inside the Birds, and also on the Inside the Birds podcast. So every Wednesday morning at 6 a.m., come check us out. We're going to be giving you guys that fresh fire right from the minds, right from watching that tape. And I also was with the Eagles this past season. And I have, some intimate details. I won't go too far into it, but I'm going to let you know a lot of things if it's yes or no. So, and also I want you guys to give us questions, because this show is called Q&A. It's not just Quintin and Avant, but it's also want to hear those questions, and we're going to give you guys answers to those questions. All right, Q, let's get right into it.
Let's get it.
The hot topic of the all season.
Oh man, I honestly...
Carson Wentz. Let's talk about him. Let's talk about it. You go first, and I want to hear your opinion. I've been getting blasted on social media because of some comments that I've said. Because everyone, Carson, it has been a very, very spark plug type of a person, and not a person. I won't say that topic. He's not a spark plug as a person, but as a topic. It's like it's a Republican or Democrat type of thing. It's either Carson or the Eagles, Carson or Hurts. So it's a very, very bizarre thing. So I want to hear your insight on it.
Yeah, I've never seen a situation that soured so quickly, and especially with a player that's so young. That's what's so unique about this situation, is because, just a couple of years ago, he was on top of the world, right? He was playing at a high level. The team was at a high level. Yeah, Pennsylvania. And then it's like fast forward a couple of years, and then it's a completely different show. And so I honestly would like to ask you a couple questions about like what, So like, it's for me, it's easy, right? Because I'm a defensive player. Like I don't really, in my mind, I break down the games and I see things a lot different than an offensive player. And then so when I look at what really broke down and what really happened with Carson, it's really almost, to me, it's like everything that could have went bad. Couldn't stay healthy. Couldn't get the right weapons around. We were hearing reports of unaccountability issues. We've heard all like literally it was like a hurricane of all these different issues that all came out of nowhere. Yeah. And as a former offensive player, like as a defensive player, we have a different mentality when it comes to that stuff. As an offensive player, like where confidence and all that kind of all works together. What would you say is a cause of all that?
It's a bunch. This town is very, very tough to play in. I love Philadelphia. It was meant for me. I was made for it. Just growing up city of Chicago, playing at the University of Michigan, having a tough coach, right? So I'm used to the criticism. I'm used to being cursed out and dog cursed by the coach, and also by the fans if you don't do something correct. I don't necessarily know if that was Carson's cup of tea, because there was a different type of pressure here. There's a pressure to win the Super Bowl every year. There's the pressure of you playing really well and us seeing how good you could possibly be, and then getting hurt, and then the backup quarterback coming in and winning, helping the team win the Super Bowl. And then you begin to see doubt from different areas. You begin to see factions. Sometimes it's Carson, sometimes it's Nick, sometimes it's Doug, sometimes it's Frank Wright. You see all of these different, like, varying opinions. And I think all of that weight on Carson did not help him. And I don't necessarily know, him being from that small town in North Dakota, and all of those things were in his wheelhouse, if you will, when it came to the pressure. I believe that he's a gamer. I believe that he can play this game. I believe that he will be successful. But I think that the doubt, just think about it. Think about it. What's the highest goal in the National Football League? What is that? The team sport.
To get that championship.
To win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So every year you go out there, you have to look at a Nick Foles and Doug Peterson statue out front of the stadium. You have to be measured if you're going to win a Super Bowl, no matter how good you play. He can throw 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions like he did in Super Bowl year, 21, 25, 40. You don't win a Super Bowl, you weren't as good as your backup. And I just think it was just unfair pressure put on Carson. That's just my thought. And I thought that that's the beginning of everything else.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
and, go ahead.
No, go.
And so to that point, I've and you kind of alluded to this when we were on Inside the Birds with Jeff Mosher. It's if you look at the tape since Carson was a rookie, and when he was starting in the year when he had 2017, 2018, where he had a phenomenal year. If you look at the numbers, it's not really a whole lot of difference between his best year and his worst year. I think obviously the team changed quite a bit. I think, there's coaching changes, there's personnel changes and all that stuff. But I think personally, he wasn't, even in his worst year, he wasn't that far off. I think the one biggest problem that he had was the turnovers. And this game, as you know, we can't have turnovers. I mean, the guy, he had 50 interceptions, I believe, in 4 years. And I believe at least 50 fumbles. Like, I don't know, it was some astronomical number.
He got sacked 50 times this year.
Yeah, that's this year. And that's unacceptable as well, Yeah. And so was he shell shocked? Like, would you, looking at him, watching him on tape, would you say, he's looking at the rush, or would you say he's not getting enough time? Like, how would you, as an offensive player, how would you kind of visit what happened this season?
Well, I would take it back. Like, let's unpack it, right? So let's unpack it. I saw a very confident Carson. I remember him coming in and playing the Bears. I believe it was the 4th or 5th game of his rookie year. And they surprised me, because the organization surprised me. Doug Peterson surprised me, because they allowed him to have command of the offense. They allowed him to go 2-minute in his first year, about the 4th or 5th game of the year against the Bears. They came out with it. And I'm going to tell you this, they didn't do that with Donovan much, with Coach Reed. They just didn't give him that complete control of the offense at time, but they gave Carson in his rookie year, complete control, 4 or 5 games in. So I was I was thoroughly impressed with that. Now, you go to the next season, he's doing really well. That's the Super Bowl year. Then something happened where now Foles comes in, right? And he doesn't respond well to that after it. So why would you go and draft Jalen and create that over for him again? Yeah. Those are the things that you have to think about. Is Carson a good enough player? Yes. Do I think that he was in a position to be fragile? Was he fragile at that state in that time? I believe that he was at his most fragile time after Nick Foles came in and helped the Eagles win that Super Bowl along with him. But he was fragile. And I don't think that it was handled correctly by going out to draft Jalen if he was going to be the number one guy. Now, I'm of the old school, though. I'm a guy that wants the best players on even me, like bring the best receivers in because we're going to be the better team.
Right.
But for the quarterback position, Q, that's the difference.
Yeah.
The quarterbacks are kind of coddled in this league. So either you can be like me in the old school and say, hey, we're going to treat everybody the same. We're going to, make sure everybody competes. If that's your philosophy, do it the entire time. And let him know when he's drafted. There's going to be guys behind you that's coming up, and you have to groom people for this. You can't just put it on them and shock them. You can't give a guy $100 million and then bring somebody else in, right? I understand that. I'm from the school to say you should. I'm just saying without forewarning, without knowing his history, I would question that part. And I think all of the other things is a spinoff of that. Now, let's get to a different subject when it comes to that. Were you surprised? Were you surprised, Q, when you heard that Carson was being traded this offseason? Were you surprised?
I was actually, I will admit, I was surprised. Just from the simple fact of first of all, they gave him that huge contract. I mean, as you know, once you get that money, that guaranteed money, that guarantees that you're going to be with the team for a little bit longer than basically 1.5 more years. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I was really, really shocked at that point. But I do believe that the relationship was so fractured between Carson and management, Carson and coaching staff, that it's the only way that it could have happened, because I don't think he would have come back at all if not. I could have very well seen him pushing it to the point of retiring or holding out until he gets traded. Mm-hmm. And, it's really unfortunate because, like you said, we're from different schools, right? I'm like yourself. I'm old school, and we had to compete every single week. And like you said, quarterback position is a lot different, but at the same time, it's difficult because he only finished the season 1 or 2 of the years that he's been.
Yeah, he's only finished the season 1 time in his 5 years. Now, he was benched this last season, but he still didn't finish, right? So 4 out of 5 seasons Carson didn't finish. If you say for injury, 3 out of 5 seasons he didn't finish. So yes, go ahead.
And then so taking that into account, this is big business, you know what I mean? And the organizations have to kind of look out for themselves as well. So it's tough. Like, I understand, like, listen, drafting Hurts in the 2nd round to Carson probably looked like, it's kind of a dick move, right? Mm-hmm. Especially after giving me this huge contract. But on the other side, like, it's one season that you've actually been able to finish where you were playing at a high level. So they have to look out for themselves as well. Like, they have to be able to plan ahead. And so it's a tough situation. And I do agree with you. I think that totally played with his psyche. And I hate to say it, but it's tough, man. You're a quarterback. Like, that's part of it. That's part of the game. You get blamed when team's not doing good, and you get praised when the team is doing well. So it's tough. And one thing I wanted to talk about a play. I had went back and looked at some of the tape and looked at all the way back to when he was a rookie and try to figure out the differences. And one of the things that I noticed was that when he was a rookie, they were getting the ball out really fast. I mean, it was like almost one step boom. And then I'm looking at the tapes from these last couple of years, and he's holding on the ball a lot. And one of the things I noticed as a defensive guy is that there's a lot. I don't know if it's Carson prefers it this way or if the scheme is dictating that, but there's a lot of in-breaking routes, a lot of inward breaking throws. And I actually have a clip of a play that is kind of like the epitome of what happened over the last couple of years. And so this is a 3rd down play. It's Seattle against Seattle, right? It was his last game starting, mm-hmm. and it was still early in the game. It was the drive started off. We had we given the ball to Jalen on a sweep, so you get like a nice little positive 3 or 4 or 5 yards. Next play, we get a penalty, so then you're backed up. The next 2 plays are what I want to talk about. So the clip I'm going to talk about isn't necessarily this play, but we had got a cover 2 look, and I call it's like a buck pass, but it's basically a cover 2 beater. You send the tight end down the middle of the
Right
field.
down the middle. Yep.
And again, Carson's got pressure. Now, in my opinion, he did a great job getting the playoff. Threw the ball nice and high, and Goddard, he had to come back a little bit for it. But and to me, like, that's a situation where you bail your quarterback out, right? So it's a little bit underthrown. He's under duress. He actually gets it out there pretty good. Goddard comes back and he kind of drops the ball. All right. So now we look at the next play. Now, the very next play is 3rd and long. Okay. So here's where my issue is. It's a 3 deep, 4 under, the 3 deep coverage, 4-man rush. We're in empty sets. We have double chippers on the outside. For whatever reason, and I think that this is what happens, like everyone in the league that plays the Eagles knows that Carson likes these in-breaking routes. So if you look at the safety, Quandre Diggs, he's sitting in the middle of the field here, and he's sitting on Dallas Goedert. All right. Now, it does look like a zero blitz, so I can understand why Carson's thinking maybe it's pressure. But once the ball snapped, everyone's kind of bailing out. You got 3 deep, and Carson kind of locks in on Goddard. And he holds the ball too long. We got terrible chips on the outside, and we got pressure, and we got a sack. All the meanwhile, we got our safety valves, Sanders in the flat, and then also Fulgham comes open late. So my thing, and I saw this over and over, a lot of the tape I watched from this last year was that he's locking in on the inside guy. He's waiting for Dallas to get open. He's waiting for Ertz to get open. Meanwhile, the receivers are on the outside cooking. I mean, the Rams game, I saw one play in the red zone where Deshaun quick release on Ramsey and is in the end zone.
Left sideline,
And you see he locks in
got it.
Carson, sorry.
Yeah.
He locks in on the inside route. So my question is, like, I see that stuff as a defensive player, like as a receiver, when you feel that you got your guy beat constantly, and you don't even feel like your quarterback is looking your way. How does that play into your mindset?
It's very, very hard to consistently play hard, right? So you have to be a pro's pro, where and this is what, I teach young players, same thing that my coach taught me. In this situation, you have to channel this. You have to channel this saying that you don't count catches, right? So you count how many times you put wins on tape. And that's what I live by. But is it hard? The reason he said that to me is because it's hard when you know that your quarterback is not reading the field the right way. I'm in all of the meetings with the quarterbacks. I'm talking about as a player. I'm in the meetings with the receivers and offense coordinators. I know based on the coverage, if it's cover 4, that he should be on this side of the field. I know if it's cover 2, we should be reading the middle of the field, high to low. I know if it's cover 3 on the outside and the safety rows weak, that I'm strong and I have a hitch, the ball's coming to me. I know where the ball should go. So when I see a look that's beneficial, or I have the advantage and I turn around and the ball's not in the air, I'm like, what are you looking at? That's the only play that this coverage can dictate at this moment in time. And you're throwing it backside into a coverage that this play is not designed for. I've seen what you're talking about over and over again. Now, Carson is a very, very cerebral guy. He knows a bunch of information, and he can do all of those things on paper. When you start rocking that safety, he kind of loses it a bit. And Q, you know what that's like. That's the Jim Johnson stuff. That's okay. I'm going to show this cover 4 defense, but it's really cover 3. I'm going to show this cover 2 defense, but it's really a 0 coverage, because you're rocking the safety. You're making movement and making the game harder for the quarterback. And that was the thing that I saw with Carson, that Carson did not play the game inside of the game. He knew the game from a sheet of paper perspective. He knew it if the look was perfect and beneficial to him. But when the look got harder and when the defensive coordinator was more complex, it was a game that Carson couldn't always play. So he would be on the wrong side of the field, like you're describing in this play. And I've seen that on the simplest of plays that you can possibly, come up with. So that's my, so to get my take on it, was I surprised? Yes, because it took audacity to fire your starting quarterback after paying him that much money,
Yeah.
and to pay him that much money and have that much dead cap space. That's saying basically we made a mistake, and I think that there was division in that decision.
Mm. Yeah.
And those are the things that you begin to think about. Okay, from an ownership perspective and from a management perspective, if I can let my starting quarterback that I paid $100 million to walk out of the building in a year and a half, 2 years, that means that we weren't in agreement with this decision the entire time. And guess what? The fans knew it too.
Yep.
Because there was half of the fan base that was chanting Nick Foles. There was half of the fan base chanting Carson Wentz. There was half of the fan base Frank Wright and Doug Peterson. So there was always a division. There was always some type of signals being crossed. So the people that made the decision for Carson, maybe they weren't here anymore, or maybe they got fired. We don't know that. That's the inside details. We don't know. But when it was all said and done, it showed us as fans, because that's what we are now. I'm a former player, you're a former player, but I'm a Birds fan through and through. And what it showed me that we're not in union. We're not. We're just not at this moment in time. Now, do you think it's embarrassing for the organization, Q? Do you think it's like and that's the thing that I begin to play into. Is this an embarrassing look for the organization?
I think so, and I say that only because it just looks like either the plan changed, which isn't great, or the plan wasn't a very good one to begin with. Just like yourself in the building, I was in the building when Carson came on. I was a director of player engagement for the Eagles, and it was a great job. I enjoyed it. A lot of what that job entailed was kind of onboarding, bringing the rookies in, teaching them, basically how to not ruin it for themselves before they get a chance to hit the field, right? So I remember Carson coming in the building as a rookie. I mean, I remember meeting him on his visits, phenomenal guy, could tell he worked hard. So everyone in the building was on board with having him in. And so you can't tell me that when he comes in as a rookie, when he plays well, when he's done all these things, then you give him a contract and then you trade him the next year. You cannot tell me that was according to plan. So I think it's a little bit embarrassing in the sense of, what the heck happened? Something happened. And
yes.
Everyone knows something happened. You guys are trying to kind of sweep it under the rug and try to fix it as best as you can, but something definitely happened. And go ahead.
Yeah, no. So that's the thing that we as the fans are scratching our heads about, because we know that there had to be something that went wrong in one of those meetings, whether it was Doug, because you just won a Super Bowl in 2017. Usually you have a longer leash than that. And the quarterback that took you to the Super Bowl, basically with stellar play, you have a longer leash than that. So therefore there was some division somewhere along the way. But let's just unpack this for a moment. Let's look at it from the organization's perspective, because we can look at it from the fans' perspective. And you alluded to this early, right? So let's break down Carson Wentz's career. 2016, not the best, showed some promise, right? 16 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, right? Not the best in the world. It was okay, but he was trending in the right direction.
Right.
Then he goes 33-7. They go to a Super Bowl and win it. So I have a great season. I have a below average season. First 2 years. 2018 happens. The Eagles are dead in the water. The Eagles gave up on the season. I was not there then. I'm just looking at it from a fan's perspective. They gave up on the season in 2018 because Carson was playing through a back injury already. They got to a point where they felt like Carson couldn't win games and we were going to lose him even further or hurt him even worse. So they put Nick Foles in. He revives the season, goes down and take him to a win in Chicago, goes down to the Saints. Alshon Jeffrey drops the ball. He does it basically again with the same team. So 2018, not the best season. 2019 was a Wentz revival year to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
He sputtered starting, but he finished really strong, made it to the playoffs, got knocked out of the game on a cheap hit by Jadeveon Clowney. Right?
Yeah.
Could have been different. Then 2020, one of the worst seasons I've seen as an Eagles quarterback. Just being honest.
Yeah.
Is there guys being frustrated because they couldn't get the ball? 100%.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, will you be frustrated? Yes, you're frustrated because you're running around to get open and the quarterback is nowhere near you. And you know that, okay, he likes this particular guy. That's frustrating when you know that you can beat your man and he only likes to throw the ball to one or two people. That's frustrating. Right. And we've heard that multiple times. So now let's break down those years. I have a horrible season. I have a great season. I have a below average season. I have another below average season. I have a great season. And what that means is that it's somewhere in the middle. It's average.
Yeah.
Just like the record, 35 and 32 and 1. Yep. So somewhere in the middle, somewhere in the average, somewhere along the way with the interceptions, it's just in the middle. But we've deified the quarterback in our mind, and Carson has a strong following because of, his play, his upbringing, his Christian background, the city of Philadelphia, all of these things. He has this cult-like following. But when you break down everything from the organization's perspective, he's not trending in the right direction. And he's not winning a large amount of games, right? So I understand it from the organization's perspective. I also understand it from the player's perspective. Yeah. But it's a very, very touch and go topic.
Yeah. So like here's my question. So and it's fair or not fair, but Goff and Carson will forever be linked together, right? Two guys traded this offseason, right? New teams. Very similar records. I was actually surprised by this. The very similar records, very similar stats. How do you think Carson will fare with his new team, and how do you think Goff will fare with his new team?
I think Carson will do better, just because I think that he has the personality type that respects Frank Wright. And I think that Frank Wright probably can pull something out of Carson that Doug couldn't. There is something with Frank's play and his quarterback technique and all of those things that he played well with them. He was trending in the right direction in 2016. He was trending in the right direction in 2017. When Frank left, that's when things begin to go downhill. So some people say, okay, this is the Frank Wright effect. And the Eagles go out and hire a guy that came directly from Frank Wright. So what we're thinking here is that Carson will be able to do better. Now, Detroit's always been awful ever since I was in the league, and ever since you've been in the league. I've never known Detroit to be a team. So what makes you think that Detroit is going to turn over a new leaf? Because I think that Detroit's problem is not players. I think it's mentality, and the mentality comes from the organization. So once you get so accustomed to losing, you do that more and more. That's why the Cincinnati Bengals can't get out of their rut, and all the other teams can't get out of their rut that are in that position. Cleveland's finally changing it around, but they're used to losing. So I think Carson can only get better. That's a playoff team. I don't think Carson will mess it up that bad.
Nice.
Hey, at this time, we're gonna take a break. Yo, we're back, and I'm back with my homeboy Quintin Mikell, and this is Q&A on Inside the Birds. We're giving you some inside details to the Carson Wentz situation. We're also talking about Jalen Hurts on the second half of the show, and we know that Carson was shipped out of town. Some people believe that it was the worst move in Eagles football history. Some others believe that it was time and that he got preferential treatment over others. And some believe that Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback. Q, what do you think about Jalen Hurts? He showed some promise. What do you think from a defender's perspective? What do you think about Jalen Hurts?
I'm very intrigued by Jalen. Talk about a guy he's been through a lot, let's say, in his short career. I mean, and I'm talking about when he was at Alabama, like going from winning the championship to losing your starting a job to transfer to a new school and getting that team to a championship. So he's definitely a fighter, and he's definitely someone that Philadelphia fans can back and definitely will, he kind of embodies the spirit of the city in terms of being a fighter. And and having confidence. And I think to me, the biggest thing as a defender, what I watch in him is he is confident. He can come out and he'll have a bad game or a bad play, and you can't count him out. And players like that, especially ones that are able to use their feet when they need to, that can throw as deep as they need to, that has the confidence to say, you know what, I don't care what, I'm going to win this game. As a defender, that's tougher. Like a lot of people think, and I'm not trying to compare him to Tom Brady, but a lot of people don't like, yes, Tom Brady is a great quarterback, right? But what sets him apart is his competitiveness, his will. Like
That's right.
he can literally will his team to win. And I see that in Jalen in the sense of his leadership and his fight. And to me personally, I can't wait to see him get the opportunity to play, because I think that he can bring a lot to this team.
Yeah, I agree with you, right? So his fight, his tenacity, and there's this thing that's going out on social media, and I don't know if you pay attention to your comments. I do, because I think they're pretty interesting, right? People curse you out, and they have all of those guts on the web, but they won't say it to your face, right? So but it's funny. But one of the comebacks all the time is that Carson didn't want to compete. Right. That's a narrative that goes out there. Some say that Carson was a bad teammate. I will totally obliterate that right now. Carson's a great teammate.
Yeah.
But then there are some that say he just doesn't like competition. Then the follow-up to that is, well, then why did Jalen transfer from Alabama when, he got beat out of his job? He doesn't like competition either. And I like to correct people with that. Right. So Jalen didn't play well national championship game. He gets benched.
Yeah.
Jalen didn't transfer then. He sticks around to compete. He sticks around, keeps his mind. Do you know how hard it is knowing that you're not going to get on the field when you're a competitor, and to stay mentally ready? Most of the guys check out. If a receiver hadn't got the ball in the first quarter of the game, you may have an explosion on the sideline. Right? DK Metcalf, Deshaun, it does not matter. Whoever it may be, your star receiver, if you don't get them the ball within the first couple of series, it's going to be some furniture movement. It's just happening, right? So can you imagine not being able to play for an entire season until they need you? They needed him in the SEC championship game. He goes on and leads them to victory, goes on to give them a college football playoff berth, right? After discussion and counsel from Saban, he gets the right hand of fellowship, as if you will, like a blessing from Saban, to go and transfer with his counsel over to Oklahoma, and he comes out to be a better player. During that time, that's a competitor to me, right? I don't see that as a quitter. I see that as a person that has learning to overcome adversity. And the thing I love about Jalen is his mentality. Like you said, he wills teams to win, but he's the coolest customer. He doesn't say much, but he walks around, chest out front, head up high, like he's the smartest dude in the room. Like, you guys follow me. He looks and acts like a starting quarterback, and he's never been ashamed of that. He's the guy that's not going to acquiesce to a room in order to make friends. And that's what I love about Jalen Hurts, is that he will go in the quarterback room and he will, okay, we're here to do a job. I'm your friend and I'm your teammate because it's my job, but I'm trying to beat you, and I'm going to make you feel that, because I'm not going to be yesing to you. No, I'm here to make us better. And competition makes you better.
Yeah.
Some people can handle it, some people can't. But the dude is confident. And going forward, if they decide to stick with Jalen Hurts as the quarterback, I'm confident in that he's going to galvanize the team. He's going to be a competitor. Will he do as well as Carson? No one knows. I do know that the guys follow him. They gravitate to him. That doesn't always equal wins, but it's a step in the right direction.
Absolutely.
All right, let's talk about Jalen a little bit further, right? So Jalen is the presumed quarterback going forward, but is he? Eagles are picking with number 6.
Yeah.
That's scary. That's scary because, okay, Do you take him if Zach Wilson is there or someone else is there?
So like
Fields is there. The kid from North Dakota is there. Somebody's there that you just love. Do you just go out and say, okay, I hired a coordinator, Brian Wood, from Florida, who've known him for years, and I put him in the quarterback room for Jalen Hurts. But again, that's confusing because you wouldn't go out and get Sirianni, which is a descendant of Frank Wright, which would have been good for Carson Wentz. So I'm just confused all the way. So them picking a quarterback, it wouldn't be out of the realm of the realm for the Eagles at this point because they're doing all type of sporadic stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm of the mindset of you take the best player available, whoever that is. And, especially after everything we've said about Jalen Hurts, it don't even matter if they draft a quarterback, right? Because he's going to compete anyway. So
yeah,
me personally, with so many holes on this team from what I'm looking at from the outside in, and so much uncertainty with other positions and new coaching staff, you have to take the best player available. And if that is Zach Wilson, then it's got to be Zach Wilson. If it's Fields, it's got to be Fields. But to me personally, because we're not in the position as I'm an Eagles fan now, but we're not in the position to draft for luxury. We got to get the best, most dynamic, best player available at that position.
At that position, yeah. So I agree with you in most years. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily think that the quarterback position is the best. They may be the best player, but I don't think that let me back up. I don't think that the quarterback position is the best player most years in the draft. Right? 1 through 30. I don't think that the quarterback is ever one of the best picks in the draft, but somehow they always matriculate into the top 10. Yeah. Always, because people, they fantasize about the quarterback and what the quarterback can possibly do. And you see all these teams year after year take guys that should not be taken that high when you have guaranteed picks. I'm a guaranteed pick guy in the first round. I want the guy that's going to be on my team for 10 years and that's going to make the Pro Bowl. So I'm picking that dude. Yeah. For me, that's going to be Jamar Chase because I'm a receiver, and or Patrick Surtain Jr. or Farley from Virginia Tech, somebody like that. Like I'm going cornerback or I'm going safety. I can see you. Okay, if you want to go, offensive tackle, you good. For Washington, you good. So, but listen. I'm going with the guaranteed surefire pick. That's just me. Like last year in the draft, first round pick, surefire pick to me was Patrick Queen, Kenneth Murray. I'm drafting the surefire pick that's going to be there and is going to be on my team. I don't want projects. Yeah. I don't want that. You know what I mean? So everyone has a different philosophy, but I don't think that you should touch. I don't think those guys are worthy of number 6. And but quarterbacks somehow become worthy of it because the eye of the general manager love quarterbacks.
Yeah, well, and I think a lot of times too, when it comes to those quarterback picks, I feel like a lot of times GMs are afraid to be that guy that lost out on a potential player like that, right? So, you got Zach Wilson, and I've seen the guy play quite a few times. He's tore up my Boise State Broncos a few times over the years. He's a tremendous player. Is he the guy at number 6? I'm not sure, but I feel like the reason why guys take those chances, GMs take those chances, is if he is that guy and you missed on him, now what? Like nobody wants to be the guy that didn't take Michael Jordan when they had the chance to. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that he's at that level, but I feel like that's the reason why. And there's no. And this is the whole thing, and this, we all know this, right? The draft is a crapshoot. Like it doesn't matter. You could be drafted, you could be undrafted and end up being a great player. You could be drafted number 1 and be out the league in a couple years. It's really more about what's in your locker room that's going to make a player develop. How are you going to surround that player with the talent to help him succeed, right? How are you going to surround them with the coaching staff or the right medical staff, the right strength coaches and nutritional coaches? Like, how are you going to create a situation to make him become the best player possible. So I do agree with you 100%. All those, I would be happy with any of those picks. Certain, like, come on, like Jamar Chase, yes. Even Devontae is probably going to be, he might be gone by that point, but I think he might be going a little bit lower, but
I don't know. We'll see, because the size is like 170. Yeah.
So was Deshaun. You know what I mean? But
yeah, Deshaun was fast. Hey, but I don't know. I don't think Devontae is Deshaun fast though. He plays big and he is fast. He covers a lot of ground. You know what Devontae has to me? He has that Ted Ginn 400-meter speed, right? So he's a builder, and that's what people don't recognize, right? So he may run, a 4.40, right? 4.42, 4.44 40, and be faster as he's going down the field. Yeah. And it's not measurable in that way, because that's how Ted is. Ted gets better as you get, further down the field.
Trust me, I know. Yeah. I've been on the wrong end of that before. Like, I remember when he was a rookie at Miami, and he ran it was like a 20-yard dig route, which you don't ever see ran. And I was like, is he? No. Oh, he's gone. Like, he's the dude, gone. He so, and then, and when I was with him in Carolina, he was just as fast. And this was like his 8th, 9th, 10th year, so he's a freak of nature. But yeah, I've been on that.
been that side of it. Here's my thing with these quarterbacks, man. And you taking them early, and let's segue back to Jalen. Why don't you give him a shot? I think that he's shown enough to at least have a chance. If you're willing to go into a season each year of the last 3 or 4 seasons, not knowing if your quarterback is going to be healthy through the season, therefore you draft Jalen Hurts, why not give a kid that hasn't had a long, injury history or things of that nature? He's toughed out a bunch of injuries. He's a 600-pound squatter. Like, the kid is built like a Mack truck, right? So give him an opportunity to be the starter, and let's try to build around him and see what's what. They did a very, very interesting study on Jalen Hurts' brain, and they said it was only a couple of those brains in the National Football League, and it talked about his spatial awareness. And, the coaching staff got a report of that brain, and the Eagles organization has a report of that. And it's talking about that he can be able to see things way beyond what the coaches put in front of him. And because he's so in depth of what's going on in the game, he has the ability to scrap the game plan and make things happen. Says that him and Patrick Mahomes have that type of brain in the National Football League. And I tell you this, the kid is accurate.
Yeah.
A lot of people, you may see and say, okay, he's a runner. No, the kid can throw the ball. He's very accurate. Yeah. He doesn't know what he's doing right now, but that comes along with time. And you're telling me that he has one of the top 2 or 3 brains in the National Football League when it comes to spatial awareness and knowing what's going on within the play? That's the first thing that stuck out to me as a coach, was in him in practice. He was seeing, remember I told you the safety roles?
Yeah. He's picking
it up. How many, there were times, Q, in this offense where you guys would let a clear route run straight by you because you knew the quarterback would never look at it. Am I lying?
No, 100%.
Or you knew that a safety is never going to throw that post. They're never going to throw that post. This kid sees it and will throw it. Damn. And because he sees the safety, he sees the safety shift. He's not locked into the game saying, you know what, that's cover 3. I know it's cover 3. No, it's like, no, I think it's covered up. It's 4. He just adjusts on the fly. His brain is dictated to adjust in the moment. And that's what the report was saying, basically. So I'm excited to see that. And I'm hoping that they give the kid a chance and put some pieces around him. I wouldn't mind if one of the tackles fell to him at 6 to get him a tackle. JP is my man, but it's been time. The fat lady's been singing a long time ago, but he's been able to, but more power to him. If you can trick him, Jason been tricking him, baby. And I like
kick you out, man.
I like it. That's my man. And I like it. I say, I got to give him a dap. I say, boy, you done played this game. You done played this like.
But you know what? Let's talk about that real quick, because Now, yes, a couple years ago, he was a lot younger. But one thing I noticed in watching the old tape, right? One guy that made a huge difference was now I'm blanking right now.
Brandon, you talking about Brooks?
No, well, yeah, of course, or having him back. LeGarrette Blount. All right. So I'm watching the old tapes. And that he was blocking his ass off. Like, even if right tackle got beat, he was right there.
Yeah.
And what I noticed these last couple of years, it's been a lot of empty sets and a lot of like running backs to the flat, right? So we're leaving our tackles on islands and we're trying to give them chip help, but the chips aren't even like really,
they're weak. They're weak. Yeah,
that's a free. Yeah. You're supposed to not like a decleater, and I haven't seen a whole lot of that. And yes, JP is a little bit older. Yes, our tackle's a little bit older, but I think moving forward, we need to get a big, strong running back that can, step in there and give a good little chip here and there, or step up and hit that linebacker, that blitzing linebacker one-on-one in the hole. I mean, that's when we were very successful in terms of like third down. We got to have it down when we had a guy that was in the backfield that was going to do what he had to do to keep the quarterback upright.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. So that's the thing that the fans don't recognize, right? We see the guy that runs for the touchdown, that catch the passes and all those things. Like, there are so many nuances to the game that get to play off, and having a running back that can understand blitz protection, right? It's hard to understand blitz protection and to know when to help the tackle, how to help them, which angle to engage on, all of those different things. And so we have the sexy running backs, and they're good players, and we have the sexy receivers. All of them can run 4-3, but you got to block people. This game is not just run past people. There's a time in a football game where avoiding is not an option.
Yep.
It's always on 3rd and 4th down. It's always when a game is on the line, when it's critical. You have to go through people. You have to stop people. You have to hit people in the mouth. And I don't care what position it is, you have to do it. And we don't have enough of those guys on the team.
Yeah.
That's just 100.
Yeah, that's real.
That's just real. 100. So Q, going forward, like, we're going to, just to explain it to the people on the show, we're going to have more and more clips like Q had today, breaking down this past season. We're going to have some clips of some of the upcoming draft prospects and who we should potentially draft. We're looking at all of those things this year on this show, me and my man Q Mike. Q, one thing that we didn't talk about, and we got to talk about just for a bit, because you alluded to it in this past section, and it's like the elephant in the room. Nobody want to talk about it. It's kind of hard for us to talk about it because we got to go in the building all the time, and the organization, they can kind of blackball you. We've seen it happen, all those things over and over again. So we got to choose our words kind of carefully. Now, we talked about there not being enough LeGarrette Blounts, or an aging Jason Peters, or declining tight end, or what have you. Our team got old very quickly. And you know what my coach used to say when I would score a touchdown, especially when I was in college? Son, get a ball back to the quarterback. I mean, to the referee. Son, get the ball back to the referee and act like you've been there. Right? You remember that?
Yep.
When we won the Super Bowl, we act like we invented the Super Bowl.
Hey, right.
Listen. You may say, "Oh, Jason, you hating because you didn't win." Listen, I was on the field. I was in the stands crying like a baby.
Yeah.
Because I was excited for the city, for you. I'm not hating on anybody. I am happy.
Yeah.
I gave everything I got. I got a long way from South Side of Chicago and played a lot of years with the little talent that I did have. I'm content with what I was able to do. But with that being said, we tried to tell people that win the Super Bowl all the time how they weren't doing the Super Bowl right. You had Lane, which is my man, coming out saying the Patriots don't have fun and all of this, and they in the Super Bowl every year.
Yeah, man.
We got we on all type of shows at night talking about how we did this and how we did that. And what the organization did, they begin to pay everybody as a reward rather than manage the team.
Yep.
And managing the team was the job, but we begin to be friends and we begin to reward the contracts, which is okay because we've never been there before.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the Eagles have learned their lesson because we acted like we've never been there before.
Yeah.
Go ahead, you talk about it.
Yeah. And, and that's all right at first, right? That first year, like, the parade, the party, all that. I mean, it was, like you said, man, I was crying too. I felt like I was on the team that won. Like, I felt like I played like, we did it. We did it. Like, so like, yes, 100%. Like, that is it. That's 100% on the nail, hitting the nail on the head. We took advantage. I'd say we took advantage of that situation and we just stretched it out way too long. Right.
Yeah.
It should have been as soon as the next season started. That should have been it. Back to business. Right. And I think you're 100% right on that. We're rewarding contracts and people that may or may not have. I don't want to ever talk about somebody else's money, but there were some deals that you kind of scratch your head a little bit and you're just like, I don't know.
What?
Yeah, I don't know if that's so. I agree 100%. And that's where we're at now, and I do believe that this is the sole reason why we're in the position right now is because of those situations, not taking care of business the way it should have been back then. And it's a dirty, it's a dirty game. And sometimes you got to be the asshole. Like whoever it is, you've got to be that person. And I think somewhere along the line, we just lost track of all that.
Yeah, I will never forget. And this is a story for the fans. I remember I was a rookie and me and Omar Gaither came in together. It was me, Omar Gaither, Winston Justice, Broderick Bunkley. That was our class. And Jeremy Bloom and a few other people, right? So I remember Jeremiah Trotter being the axe man, seeing him in a Super Bowl, throwing an axe, and the axe man literally can take on any fullback. He was just huge. You couldn't run downhill on him. And I remember going from my rookie year when we went down to the Saints and lost. We lost to the Saints in the playoffs.
Yep.
And I remember Deuce McAllister and the Saints, Sean Payton was making this man run from sideline to sideline. And I love Jeremiah, but at that point, Jeremiah just could not get to the sideline back and forth with Reggie Bush and Deuce McAllister. Just couldn't.
Yeah. Yep.
And I remember the next year going into training camp, them telling him that, like right before like our last preseason game that he was going to be cut. And I remember him knocking Thomas Tapei out.
Oh yeah,
on the goal line, right? Because it was such a hard pill for him to swallow. We were thudding, meaning that there was no contact. We were walking through, and he ran through full speed and knocked Thomas Tapei, knocked him to the ground. And Thomas is like, he's like, man, well, what'd I do to you, brother? Like, you know what I mean? It was just funny because they're from Africa together, brother. Yeah. So knocked him out, but that was a tough decision. Hecker and Andy had to make that decision to part ways with the guy that the city and the organization, the town loved. But that was the nature of the beast, and you had to do it in that structure, in that manner. I thought that we kind of just took it way too easy and began to be more friends and give guys more say and all of these things, right? In order, we became a players organization, and that doesn't win long term. Absolutely. And we're seeing the results of that. Like we're seeing the results of it. At every position, we need a corner, we need a linebacker, we need a rush in, we need offensive linemen, we need receivers, we need tight ends. Like there is not a position that we play that the team has that we don't need one of. And that's what happens when you reward a bunch of guys. So hopefully we can learn that lesson and act like we've been there when we get there in a couple years and learn that lesson going forward.
And then I would like to add a little bit to that too, right? So there's that element of it. And then the other side of the coin is we've had a lot of misses in the draft. For whatever reason, there's been, I mean, we drafted Dillard. I haven't really seen him play yet.
Yeah.
I mean, he was his number one pick, 3 years ago? We haven't seen him on the field. I haven't seen him on the field. And so we've missed on a lot of picks. And really those first round picks aren't the ones that really matter. It's the third, fourth, fifth rounders, the guys that round out your team, the special teams guys. Like those are the positions that we have to do a better job of finding and vetting and making sure that they can, come into the organization and help. So you're absolutely right on that. And it's hit us bad. So
and that's right. So when you miss on a lot of picks, you have to be perfect in free agency, right? So the Eagles built the Super Bowl team through free agency.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of the guys that were on the team, from Jason Peters to Alshon Jeffrey to Darren Sproles to all of these guys that were on the team, were someone else's players. And we got a chance to see their resume. But that's an expensive way to go.
Yes.
All those guys need money. So therefore, you're miles and miles over the cap trying to make it work. When you hit on a draft pick, it's free money for 4 years. Because there's guy, I remember thinking, going into my 4th year, man, what do I have to do to get paid? I've been getting knocked out for 2 years now. I've been catching balls in the dirt. I've been catching them high behind. I separated my shoulder catching them. What do you have to do in order to get a contract? Because you're on low man salary. And you know what that's like. You playing your heart out, making every special team play, making it to the Pro Bowl, doing all of those things on special teams. You like, man. And you see a guy come in from another team and it's 50 million. You're like, man, come on. Yeah. And that's just a hard way to continue to win in this league. You got to hit on players.
Yeah.
We saw that with Ozzie Newsome. We seen it over and over again. The teams that draft good and get first in that get pro, like, listen, Brandon Graham and Carson Wentz, it's been the last Pro Bowlers in I think like 5 or 6 years.
Wow.
Like Brandon making it this year and like, no, not I said Pro Bowl. I'm talking about drafted players
that have made it to the Pro Bowl.
With, along with, because you got Fletch, but no, and I said that wrong. Let me backtrack and say that the last 5 seasons, the only player that has made the Pro Bowl has been Carson Wentz of the drafted players. Brandon preceded that. Zach preceded that, all those guys. But in the last 5 seasons, there's only been one Pro Bowl player that's been Carson.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? So that right there is saying something. And we have to do a better job in that area going forward for sure.
Absolutely.
Now, we've had some really, really tough seasons, some ups and some downs, right? We've had some really ups and downs. How do you think the Eagles are going to recover from this? And then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, I think the first most important thing is you got to get a plan together. And it seems like, the plan's coming together, brought in Nick Sirianni, and let's see where he goes with this. Let's see what type of team he puts together, see what type of roster moves that Howie makes, and let's start it there. And the way, and we've been hitting on it the whole time, the way that you can get back to where we need to get back to is building through the draft, making smart decisions in free agency, and having a coach that's going to hold everybody accountable. And if we can do those 3 things, we'll be fine. It's easier said than done, but if we can do that, and to me, the biggest issue though is you've got to rebuild through the draft, because when if you have homegrown players and not necessarily a bunch of mercenaries, right? You have guys that have just came into this organization, understand what the city's like, understand what it means to the fans, understands what it means to the players, understands what it means to Mr. Lurie and the city. That's a whole lot different when you have a team full of those guys, and then you sprinkle a couple of the mercenaries in that kind of help you get over the top. Like, that's how programs are built. And so if we can get back to doing it that way, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah. I think we have an uphill battle. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. That's the way to do it through the draft. But I think that we have an uphill battle just with our cap numbers, all the things that we have to do. The good thing is that we had a lot of young players last year, and they got a lot of experience because of injuries and how bad the season is going. So they just put the young players in at times. So I think that you're going to see better from Jalen Reagor. You're going to see better from Quez Watkins, from Kayvon Wallace. You're going to see better all across the board. Will the Eagles compete again? This is one of those things. I've never seen the Eagles quit. And that's what I'm resting on. I've never seen the Eagles have such a bad season where they've given up and thrown in the towel, those things. Not in my time as an Eagles fan. So I'm resting that they're going to be competitive, and our division isn't the best in the world. So I believe that they're going to be competitive. The draft is going to help us. If we draft the draft definitely has to be the way going forward, especially with where we are in salary cap. So I'm looking forward to it. I think that it's going to be a better season than most people think it's going to be, because I believe that Jalen Hurts is a lot better than people are advertising and think that he is. So I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to more of these talks with you every week. We're going to have different content, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to have a blast, a ball. We're going to get more and more into personal stories as well, because I want to hear more and more about Q, his family. I want to see what he's doing. I know he's at Clearview High School coaching as the defensive coordinator. Do your thing, my man. I definitely got to come out to a game whenever we get off of COVID lockdown. I don't know when that'll be. So we're looking forward to it. And I want you guys to make sure that you come and check out the Q&A show on the Inside the Birds platform and also on YouTube. Check me out at Launch Trampoline Park in Deptford, New Jersey. I'll be there waiting on tables, checking you in, doing the birthday parties, whatever you need. I got it. Pizza to the room, dunk on your child, knock them off the battle beam. I can do it all, ladies and gentlemen.
That's awesome. Yes,
so
sir.
Q, let's sign out to the fans, and you got any last words for us? And I'm looking forward to talking to you again next week.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it, man. You're a great host, and it's been great, man. I cannot wait to hear some more of your stories as well, and to really get some more of your insight and learn a little bit more about that receiver position that
yeah, we gotta do a lot better.
that we used to have some battles. We'll definitely break down some of them stories. I was a little bit in my older times when you came in, but I
used to route you up.
Yeah. I stopped going against you youngsters, man. I had to go in the back. I was gonna go with the tight ends, but no, a lot of fun, man. And then look forward to being on the show with you, man. It's gonna be fun.
No doubt. Everybody have a good night, and thanks again to Jeff and Adam and all the guys that are responsible for us being on the show. And Inside the Birds, YouTube, and also on the podcast Inside the Birds. Jason Avant, Quintin Mikell, Jason Avant, Q&A. Checking out. Have a good night.